The wind in the autumn carried the smell of roses that were dying through the streets of Ashford that were made of cobblestone as Emma Bennet held her basket that was made of wicker close to her chest. Emma Bennet was 19 years old. She had learned that if she wanted to survive she had to forget about her pride and go knock on the doors of houses that most people were too scared to go near. The big house, in front of Emma Bennet, was very tall. It looked like it was touching the sky that was getting darker and darker. The big house looked very old. It had big iron gates that were twisted into funny patterns that looked like they were moving when the light was fading. Emma pressed the bell that was stuck in the stone pillar. The sound went around the empty courtyards. For a moment Emma thought nobody was going to answer the bell. Then a voice came out of the dark. It was really smooth and really cold, like the frost that comes in winter when it is very cold outside. Who wants to get into Blackthorn Manor when the sun goes down? Emma stood up straight. Tried to be brave even though her hands were shaking. My name is Emma Bennet, sir. I am selling night roses. These are the kind of roses that bloom when the stars are out. I picked them myself. They are very fresh. You can have a dozen of these night roses for 3 silver coins. There was silence between them. Emma moved her weight from one foot to the foot. She was thinking if she should just go. Then the big gates started to open. They made a noise. Emma saw a person. Her breath stopped. The person took her breath away. Emma was looking at the person who just came through the gates. Lord Adrian Thornfield was standing in front of her. He was really tall. He looked amazing in his midnight blue coat. His hair was like silver. It fell across his shoulders. His eyes were burning with this amber light that seemed to see right through her. It was like he knew all her secrets. Lord Adrian Thornfield did not look very old. He looked like he was 30 years old. There was something old about the way he looked at her, something that made her feel like he had been around for a very long time. Lord Adrian Thornfield had this gaze that was really hard to explain. It was like he had seen everything before. The man said, "Night roses," in a quiet voice, looking at her so closely that it made her skin feel funny. He thought this was pretty cool. Then he said, "How fitting." Told her to come inside. Every instinct was telling Emma to get out of there. She could not stop thinking about her little brother Thomas, who was waiting for her at home, feeling hungry and relying on the money that Emma would bring home. Emma walked behind Adrian through the gardens where the fountains were stuck and not moving. The flowers were growing in all sorts of colors that Emma had never seen before and did not know what to call the colors of the flowers. The inside of the manor was really something. It had these chandeliers that hung down from the ceiling, which was so high up that you could not see the top of it. The crystals on the chandeliers made rainbows all over the marble floors. The manor had these tapestries on the walls that showed pictures of battles between good and bad. The manor was full of candles, and the flames on the candles never moved, they just stayed still. Kept burning. The manor's interior was very beautiful. The manor had a lot of things in it. Wait here, Adrian. He pointed to a velvet chair that was near the entrance. I will bring the money to pay for your flowers. Emma sat down carefully because she was scared that her old dress would get a stain on the fancy fabric. She looked around the hall and saw all the really expensive things everywhere. Then she saw it, the thing that caught her eye. It was the expensive things in the grand hall that made her notice it, the thing that made her feel like her old dress did not belong in the grand hall with all the expensive things. The room had a picture on the wall above the fireplace. The fireplace was made of stone. The picture was really big. You could not miss it. It was of a woman who was wearing a dress. Her hair was a brown color and it was falling down her back in big waves. It looked like her hair was shining. The woman's eyes were green. They looked happy and sad at the same time. Her hand was on her heart like she was holding something that meant a lot to her. The woman in the picture really stood out. The picture of the woman was the thing you saw when you looked around the room. Emma stood up. She did not even know she was doing it. Her basket slipped out of her fingers. It fell to the floor. The roses went over the shiny floor. Emma walked towards the picture. It was like she was in a trance or something. She took one step. Then another, and each step made her see something that could not be real, about the portrait of Emma. The woman said, "That is my mother." She said it quietly. Her voice was shaking when she said the word mother. The glass that Adrian was holding broke into pieces, on the stone floor. Emma turned around. Saw Adrian standing in the doorway. He was not moving. Adrian's eyes were open wide. They were a brown color. It looked like Adrian was feeling scared and like he knew something at the time. Adrian's eyes looked really scared and surprised. The fear and recognition were all mixed up in Adrian's eyes. "What did you just say to me? I did not quite hear what you said. Can you please say that again? I really want to know what you said." Emma pointed at the portrait with a hand that was shaking. She said, "That woman, Catherine Bennett, is my mother." Emma told them that her mother, Catherine Bennett, had died when Emma was 3 years old. Emma has a picture of her mother, Catherine Bennett, that looks just like the portrait. Emma's voice started to sound stronger. It was also sounding confused and really angry. Emma wanted to know why they had a portrait of her mother, Catherine Bennett, in their house. Emma asked them how they knew her mother, Catherine Bennett. Adrian walked fast to get to the other side. He did it in 3 big steps. This was very quick. He stopped in front of the picture. Adrian looked at the face in the picture. His expression was very sad. It was so sad that Emma moved back a little without thinking about it. The picture was of a face. Adrian was staring at it with a lot of pain in his eyes. Adrian was looking at the portrait. He seemed to be in a lot of distress. "Catherine," he said her name quietly like he was saying a prayer. He asked if she was really dead. 16 years ago, Emma said. Her heart was beating fast against her ribs. Her mother got sick with a fever that would not go away. The doctors could not make her better. Emma looked at Adrian's face, trying to find some answers in the look he had. "Who are you?" she asked. "How did you know my mother?" she wanted to know. Before Adrian could say anything, a loud noise like shattering glass filled the hall. They both turned to look at the windows. A big black raven had hit the glass. It was cracked all over. The cracks looked like they were moving slowly. The bird was holding on to the stone part of the window. Its eyes were shining red in the light, from the candles. The raven had a scroll tied to its leg with a string. The scroll was closed with a wax seal that was the color of blood. The raven and the scroll were really getting their attention. The Adrian and the other person were staring at the raven and the scroll. Adrian's hand went to his side where his sword was hidden under his coat. He said to Emma, "Stay behind me, Emma." The window swung open even though nobody touched it. A big black bird, the raven, hopped into the room. The raven dropped a scroll at Adrian's feet. Then the raven flew out into the dark. The raven let out a cry that sounded a lot like someone laughing. Adrian picked up the scroll. Broke the seal. He started to read the scroll and his face changed. It looked like it was made of ice and fury. The room got really cold all of a sudden. Emma could see her breath in the air now. The scroll was really affecting Adrian. Adrian's face was still frozen in that look. Emma was looking at Adrian. She could feel the cold air. The room was cold because of what Adrian was reading in the scroll. The woman looked at something. Said, "What does it say?" Then she put her arms around her body because she felt a chill. Adrian looked at her. She saw a lot of pain in his eyes. This pain was really old. "The message says that the council knows what is going on," Adrian said. "It says they know you are here, with me." He squeezed the message in his hand. "The council thinks some things belong to them. They are coming to get these things from us." Adrian was talking about the council. What they wanted from her. The council was coming to collect the things that they thought belonged to them. Adrian looked scared. He was holding the message really tight. Emma said, "I do not understand." She was getting really scared. Fear was starting to spread through her stomach. "What is this council you are talking about?" Emma asked. "What are they going to collect from the people?" Emma wanted to know what was going on with the council. Adrian pointed to the picture to the face of Catherine that was painted on it, looking at them from a time ago. "Your mother did not die from being sick, Emma. She was taken away from me 19 years ago and they made her forget everything. They erased her past. They let her stay alive long enough to have you and take care of you without you knowing what really happened." Adrian's voice started to shake. "They have been waiting for you to get older. Waiting for you to show them what you can do, Emma, waiting for you to reveal what you are, waiting for you to grow up and be, like your mother, Catherine." Emma felt the floor tilt beneath her feet. She said, "What do you want me to reveal myself as, the person that I really am? I mean, what is it that you want me to be?" Adrian reached out. Gently took her hand, turning it palm up. The candlelight was shining down on them. She looked at her hand. Saw the thing she had always thought was just a birthmark. It was a star shape at the center of her palm. Sometimes this star-shaped mark seemed to shine a little when she was feeling things strongly, like when she was happy or sad. Adrian was still holding her hand, looking at the star-shaped mark on her palm. The mark was really small. It was definitely there and it seemed kind of special. Adrian said this quietly. He was the child who was not supposed to be born. The bridge between the world of people who die and the world of people who do not die. This is the person that the prophecy talked about. He looked into Emma's eyes. Emma saw the truth in his eyes. He was her father. Adrian was her father. The word hung in the air between Emma and this stranger. It was impossible. It was also undeniable. Emma looked at the stranger. He had hair and really old eyes. She saw sadness, hope fighting on his face. Something inside Emma felt like she knew this stranger was telling the truth. The truth was something Emma felt down, and it was all about the stranger and what he said. "That is impossible," she whispered. Even as she spoke, memories were stirring. Her mother was very sick. She would whisper a lot in those last days, calling out a name that sounded like Adrian. The way her mother Catherine held on to a locket around her neck, she would not let it go even when she was dying. Emma sometimes had dreams of a house and a man with amber eyes who looked at her mother like she was the only person who mattered in the world. Memories of Adrian and the silver locket and the big house were all coming back to Emma now. "I really loved Catherine much." Adrian said this. You could hear the emotion in his voice. He told her to stay with him and pick a life where they could be together always. She agreed to it. He held her hand tightly. The morning Catherine was not there. Adrian looked for her for a long time, for 16 years, he told Emma. He never gave up looking for Catherine. A bell started ringing inside the manor. It was a sound that you could feel. This sound meant that midnight was coming. Adrian's head turned quickly towards the bell. His body got tight, like an animal that senses something is wrong. The manor's bell kept ringing. Adrian was listening to the manor's bell. "The people are coming sooner than I thought," he said. "The council will not wait until morning." He looked at Emma. She saw that he was getting really determined. "I did not protect your mother like I should have," he told her. "I will not make the mistake with you." He took Emma to the hallway. "Come with me," he said. "There is something I want you to see, something that will show you that everything I told you about the council is true." Emma followed him because she really had no choice. The truth was already growing inside her heart, like those night roses that were still in the basket she had left behind. When Adrian Thornfield looked at Emma, she saw her own green eyes looking back at her from his amber eyes. It was like they shared a connection that was written all over their faces in the spaces between their shared sadness, the sadness that Emma and Adrian Thornfield both felt deeply, the inheritance that tied Emma and Adrian Thornfield together. Behind them, Catherine's portrait watched in silence as candles throughout the manor began to flicker and die, one by one, as if darkness itself was coming home. Adrian walked with Emma through the hallways of the manor. These hallways seemed to go on and curve around in weird ways. The manor did not look that big, from the outside. The hallways made it feel huge. They went down a staircase that swirled around like a spiral. The staircase was made from a shiny rock called obsidian. Each step was smooth because many people had walked on them for a very long time. Adrian and Emma kept going down until they got to a door. This door had symbols on it. When Emma tried to look at the symbols, they hurt her eyes. Adrian said, "This is the Archive of Shadows." He pulled out a key that looked pretty. It was shining like the moon. The Archive of Shadows has everything that the council wanted to keep secret. They put all the things they wanted to hide in the Archive of Shadows. The room that was beyond this one was really big. You could not even see the ceiling because it was so high up in the darkness. There were shelves everywhere. They were all filled with books that had leather and metal covers. There were also scrolls that were tied up with ribbons that had faded. Then there were things that made a humming noise because they had a lot of power inside them. Adrian walked towards the wall on the side of the room with a purpose. He was heading to a glass case that had a candle burning next to it. The candle had a flame that was shining on the glass case. Adrian moved towards the glass case because he wanted to see what was inside it. The room was full of books. The glass case was what Adrian was looking for. Inside the case rested a silver locket on a bed of black velvet. Emma's hand went up to her throat. She said, "My mother had a necklace like that. They put it in the ground with her when she died." "No," Adrian said softly. "She was buried with a copy that I made after Catherine disappeared. This is the one." He opened the case. Picked up the locket with careful hands. "I gave this locket to Catherine the night I asked Catherine to marry me. The locket has a thing inside that keeps two people connected no matter how far apart they are or what is between them." His fingers found the part that opens the locket and it came open with a quiet sound. Light came out of the locket. It was silver and warm. This light made pictures in the air that looked like memories. Emma was really surprised when she saw these pictures come to life in front of her eyes. The pictures were like memories that were happening over again. Emma watched as the scenes with the light from the locket kept unfolding before her eyes. Her mother was an happy woman. She was laughing and dancing in a forest with the moon shining down on her. Adrian was with her. He had a smile on his face and he looked really happy. He did not look like the sad man he is today. They were in a place with lots of beautiful night roses. Catherine's mother was holding Adrian's hand and he was putting a locket around her neck. Then they kissed under the stars in the sky. Her mother and Adrian were so happy together. They were kissing in the moonlight. The night roses were around them and Catherine's mother was wearing the locket that Adrian had given her. Then the memory. It became darker. Catherine was walking home when it was still really early. The locket was warm on her chest. She was thinking about what she wanted to do with her life. The sun was not up yet. It was still a little scary. Shadows started to come out from behind the trees. Some people grabbed her. They put a cloth over her mouth. Catherine tried to scream. It was hard to make any noise. Some figures, in clothes, pulled her away and she could not do anything to stop them. The memory of Catherine walking home was replaced with the memory of Catherine being taken by these people in robes. The room was a stone chamber. It was lit by torches. There was a man standing over Catherine. He had eyes that looked like chips of ice. Catherine was lying on a table. She was chained to it. The man's voice was cold. It was also very precise when he told Catherine what would happen to Catherine. The old man said something that has stuck with me. He said, "The child you are going to have is a problem for everything we have worked for." He thought Lord Adrian was stupid to love someone like that. The old man said that love had created something bad. If they killed me, it would start a big fight that they did not want. So they came up with a plan. They would make me forget everything. I would have to raise the child in a home, and the child would not get a good education. Then when the child is old enough, they would take what they wanted from us. The child would be the key to all of this. They would use the child for their own purposes. Magic was like ice that spread through Catherine's mind. It was really scary. Emma saw her mother scream. She did not make a sound. Memories were being torn away from Catherine's mind, like when you see autumn leaves blowing in a big storm. The last thing Catherine remembered before everything went dark was Adrian's face. Then even Adrian's face was gone from her memory. The locket closed with a snap and the visions were gone. Emma was standing there shaking over. Tears were running down her face. She felt so angry and so sad at the time. The anger and the sadness were fighting inside her chest. Emma stood there crying. The locket was still clutched in her hand. The visions of the locket were really upsetting her. She said it quietly, "They stole her. They took everything that belonged to her. They took everything from her and, from both of you, the woman and the other person." Silas Graves, Adrian said. His voice was tight because he was really angry. "He is the head of the council. Silas Graves did all of this." Adrian looked at Emma. She saw that he really wanted to keep her safe. There was something protective in his eyes. Silas Graves thinks Emma is a problem for the vampires because of what she might become. Silas Graves is scared of what Emma could do to the vampires. Emma said, "What am I?" Really, she was not totally sure. She had a feeling about it though. Emma already had an idea of what the answer might be. Adrian took Emma's hand. Put it on a really old book that was sitting on a stand near them. When Emma's skin touched the leather cover, the book suddenly opened up by itself. The pages started turning fast, then they stopped on a picture that made Emma stop breathing for a second. The picture in the book was what caught Emma's attention. The picture showed a person standing between two worlds. This person had one hand on the sun. The other hand was holding the moon. There were chains around this person, but these chains were breaking. Creatures, some of whom were human and some of whom were not, were kneeling down around the person. They were all showing respect to the person. They were doing this because the person was very special. The creatures were looking up at the person with a lot of admiration. They were not afraid of the person at all. The person was standing between two worlds and the person was touching the sun and holding the moon. Adrian looked at the text under the picture. It said, "The bridge born." This person is born when it is day and night at the time. They are mortal and immortal at the time. The bridge-born can walk between worlds. The bridge-born will have three things that they can do. The bridge-born will have the touch that awakens people. The bridge-born will have flesh that can take a lot of pain. The bridge-born will have a voice that people will listen to. When the bridge-born becomes powerful, the old powers will lose their power. Then a new time will start. Emma looked at the words. She felt like they were really speaking to her. It was like she had always known this stuff. She just never thought about it before. "The birthmark on my palm," she said, "that is one of the signs, is it not?" The birthmark on her palm, it was something that had always been there. Now it seemed like it meant something. Emma thought about the birthmark on her palm and she felt like it was a part of her, like it was trying to tell her something. The birthmark on her palm, it was one of the signs. She was starting to realize what that meant. "Yes," Adrian said. "There are other things like that. I mean, have you ever thought about how fire does not hurt you? Like it does not burn your skin or anything. What about silver? It does not make you feel bad like it does to creatures that have immortal blood in them. Fire and silver, they just do not seem to affect you, do they? Immortal blood and all that?" Emma remembered all the times she put her hand into the fireplace at her house to get the coals that had fallen out. Her brother was really surprised when her skin did not get burned. The silver coins that Emma handled every day made the other merchants at the market react strangely and move away from her. Emma thought about the silver coins. How they affected the other merchants. The woman said this in a quiet voice. She said, "I thought everyone could do those things." "No, Emma, it is you." Adrian pulled out another book from the shelf. This book was really special because it looked like it was covered in dragon scales. The council has been scared of this prophecy for a long time, like 1,000 years. When they found out that Catherine was going to have my baby, they knew what you would be, like when you grew up. They did not want to kill you because that would have started a war. So they tried to control you. They wanted to keep you weak and make sure you did not know much. They also wanted you to be alone, isolated from everyone. It suddenly made sense to Emma. She thought about how they never had money. Her mother tried hard to make things better, but something always went wrong. Like the time the shop caught on fire. When the people who used to come to the shop just stopped coming. Then there were the loans that they had to pay back sooner than they thought they would. The shop that burned down, that was a problem. The patrons who disappeared, that was weird. The loans that came due early, that was really tough for them. Emma thought about all these things. It all started to make sense to her. The shop, the patrons, the loans, it was all connected to why they were poor. "Silas has been working against you for a long time," Adrian said. "He has been doing things to keep you feeling hopeless, to keep you from doing things, and he has been waiting for the perfect time to make his move against you. Silas wants to hurt you when you are not expecting it." Before Emma could say anything, the sound of breaking glass filled the air in the house above them. People started yelling. Swords began to clash. Adrian's head jerked up, his body became still, like he was ready to pounce on something. The sound of swords hitting each other was really loud. Adrian was completely focused on what was happening. He said that they are here. The council has come for you. He walked over to the wall. Found a secret button. When he pressed it, a big rock. He saw a room full of swords and other things to fight with. These things were shining with an scary light. Adrian picked a sword with a blade that had silver marks on it and put it on his back. The sword was really cool. Adrian liked the silver marks on the dark metal blade of the sword. "Stay close to me," he said to Emma, pulling her toward the staircase. "I want you to remember something. No matter what happens, no matter what you see, you have to remember that Emma is stronger than they want Emma to believe." Emma climbed the stairs and the sounds of battle got really loud. When Emma emerged into the hall, the battle scene was crazy, but people seemed to know what they were doing, and Emma's breath caught at the scene of the battle before Emma. Adrian's household guards were a mix of vampires and humans who worked for him. They fought against some people who were wearing armor. This armor had the council's seal on it. The guards used steel swords, and the sound of steel hitting steel was really loud. The air was also full of magic. This magic made Emma's skin feel weird. Adrian's household guards were doing their best to fight these intruders. The magic in the air was making everything feel strange. Adrian's guards were fighting hard against the people in armor with the council's crimson seal. There was a person at the center of everything. This person wore robes with silver thread on the edges. The figure in robes was really old and scary. His face had points and it looked mean, like someone who thought they were better than everyone else. The figure in robes had eyes that were like cold ice, the same kind of ice that Emma saw in the memories of the locket. The eyes of the figure in robes were really cold, and they reminded Emma of the locket's memories. Silas Graves had come to the place in person. "Lord Adrian," Silas said. His voice was really loud and clear, with all the noise around. "It is good that you showed up, Lord Adrian, because now we do not have to look for you. If you give us the girl, Lord Adrian, we can finish this situation without too much fighting and killing." Adrian stepped in front of Emma. He put his hand on the sword that was at his back. "Emma is under my protection because she is my daughter and the one who will inherit from me," Adrian said. "The old laws say that you have no right to Emma. Silas said that the old laws are why we have to do something. Emma is the bridge born from the prophecy. She is a bad thing that is going to mess up the way things are supposed to be. Silas looked at Emma with a stare. His eyes were pale. They seemed to be sizing her up. He said that Emma has to be stopped before she can do all the things she is supposed to be able to do. Adrian said, "I will not let you touch her." His voice was really low. It sounded very old and scary. Silas. It was a thin and cruel smile. He said, "You do not have any choice in this matter. The council has made a decision. They have voted. The decision they made is that the sentence is death." Then Silas raised one of his hands and the room suddenly became very cold. The frost started to spread over the marble floors and the candles stopped burning and died. Silas said, "Seize the girl." His voice was firm and commanding. The council guards charged at Adrian. His sword made a noise as it came out of its holder and the blade was shining with a bright silver light. Adrian fought the group of guards very quickly. His actions were like a dangerous dance where he was totally in control of what he was doing. The council guards kept coming at him. Adrian's sword was moving fast, hitting them one by one. Adrian was fighting with a lot of skill and power and his sword was flashing with silver fire as he swung it at the council guards. There were too many of them. For every guard that Adrian managed to cut down, 2 more guards showed up. These guards were pushing Adrian back, which was separating him from Emma, and it was driving a wedge between Adrian and his daughter Emma. Emma pushed herself against the wall. She was really scared. Her heart was beating fast as she watched Adrian fight. He was fighting with all his might. One of the guards got past Adrian. Came at Emma with a knife. The knife was pointed at Emma's heart. Time seemed to slow down. Emma raised her hands to protect herself and the star-shaped mark on her palm started shining with a white light. The guard's blade hit this light. It broke into pieces like glass. This made the guard fly backward and he hit the wall hard. It sounded like his bones were breaking. The star-shaped mark on Emma's palm was still shining with that white light. The fighting stopped. Everyone in the hall looked at Emma. She was standing there with her hands up in the air. There was this bright light coming from her hands like the sun was shining right through them. It was pretty amazing the way the light looked of like sunlight that you can hold on to. Emma had this light pouring out of her palms. "Impossible," Silas said slowly. "Her magical powers should not be showing up for a long time yet." Silas was talking about her powers. He could not believe what he was seeing. Her powers were something that should happen to her later, in life. Emma was not paying attention. She felt the magic inside her starting to wake up. This magic was really old. It knew that this was the moment it had been waiting for. The light coming from Emma's hands was getting bigger. It was touching the walls and the floor and even the air around her. The magic inside Emma was very strong. It felt like it was supposed to happen right now. Where the warmth touched, things changed. The frost that was there started to melt. It gave way to a warm feeling. The dead candles that were not burning anymore suddenly had flames again. And the amazing thing happened: the roses from Emma's old basket that she had left behind started to grow. The stems of the roses got longer and stronger. The flowers opened up really big as dinner plates. The roses from Emma's abandoned basket just kept growing and growing. The roses were around the council guards. They did not hurt the council guards. Instead, the roses held the council guards in place gently. The thorns on the roses turned into petals that touched the skin of the council guards. The council guards could not move all. They were stuck and could not get away from the roses, just like they could not break free from a rock. The roses kept the council guards from moving. The council guards were trapped. Emma walked forward. The light was still coming from her hands. She did not feel any fear. Emma felt certain. She felt powerful. The power was like music that was inside her. It made her feel strong. Emma was meant to have this power. It felt right, to her. The power was something that made her feel happy. It was like she was born to use it. She said to him, "You wanted to get rid of me because you were scared." Her voice sounded different now, it had a ring to it that it never had before. "You were scared that I would make some changes. That I would mess up the way things were and you would not be in charge of me anymore." She looked straight at Silas Graves, this old and bad person who had taken her mother away from her and made her childhood very unhappy. "You had a reason to be scared of me, Silas Graves." Silas got really angry. Started to gather magic around himself. The room got darker and shadows formed at his feet like ink had been spilled all over the floor. Then Silas pushed both of his hands out towards Emma. He was trying to use magic on Emma, the kind of magic that would hurt her badly from the inside out. Silas wanted to use this magic to tear Emma. The dark magic hit Emma's light. It just disappeared, coming apart like a piece of string that you pull out of an old shirt. Silas took a step back looking really surprised, and for a moment he did not look so calm. The dark magic was really powerful. It made Emma's light go away. Silas was clearly shocked by what the dark magic did to Emma's light. He said how, and he was really out of breath when he said it. Emma said it in a simple way. She said, "I am the bridge." Then she explained that bridges do not break things. The bridge is something that connects things together. Emma said this because she is the bridge. Bridges are strong. They help connect people and places. Emma is like that, she connects people. The big front doors of the manor swung open fast. Emma turned around quickly, getting ready for someone to attack her again. What she saw made her heart stop beating. It was a person that made Emma feel this way. The person was someone who made Emma's heart stop. Catherine Bennett was standing in the doorway. She had some of Adrian's guards with her. Emma remembered Catherine Bennett as a sick woman when she was a kid. Now Catherine Bennett looked really different. Her long auburn hair was hanging down her back. Her green eyes looked strong and healthy. It was like she had found something that made her remember things and want to do something. Catherine Bennett was holding a locket in her hand. This was the silver locket that Emma thought they had buried with Catherine Bennett. Emma said to her mother in a quiet voice, "Mother?" She looked surprised. Said, "But you are supposed to be dead." Emma was talking to her mother. Her mother was supposed to be dead. Emma did not understand why her mother was alive. She looked at her mother. Said it again, "You are supposed to be dead, Mother." Catherine looked over. Saw Adrian across the hall. She felt something deep happen between them. It was like all the sadness. Missing him and love she had felt for 16 years was still there. The love she felt for Adrian had never actually gone away. Then Catherine looked at Emma, and tears streamed down her face. "I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I remember now. I remember everything." The big room was really quiet. You could hear the candles making cracking sounds and the guards who were stuck and could not move, they were breathing hard. These guards were all wrapped up in Emma's roses that had magic on them. Catherine walked into the room slowly, she took her time with each step. It was like she was walking in a dream. She was scared that the dream would go away if she moved too fast. Adrian said, "You are alive," in a quiet voice. He walked towards her like he was being pulled by something she could not see. Adrian thought about all the years that had passed. He had thought that the fever had taken her life. "It almost happened," Catherine said, her voice full of feeling. She had a lot of emotions. "Something was different 3 days ago. I woke up screaming because I was remembering things. A lot of memories came back to me. I touched the locket that I wear around my neck. This locket got really warm. It felt like it was burning my skin. Then I remembered everything, about you and us. What they did to us. The locket reminded me of you and us. What happened? Silas Graves. It sounded like ice breaking. He said, "This is really sweet. The two of you are together again." Even though Emma was in control of him, his voice was full of hate. Silas Graves said, "It does not matter. The girl is still a thing. The prophecy still says she has to die." Silas Graves looked at the girl with disgust. Said, "The prophecy demands her death, and that is what will happen to her." "The prophecy demands nothing," a new voice rang out from the shadows. Everyone turned around when an elderly woman came out of a corridor that Emma was sure was not there before. The elderly woman wore midnight blue robes with stars sewn on them. Her hair was white like snow and it went all the way down to her waist. The elderly woman had a lot of power. It felt like heat coming from a fire where they make things out of metal. "Oracle Morgana, Adrian." He bowed his head to show respect. "You have not come out of your tower for a long time, Oracle Morgana, 200 years have passed." Morgana said to them, "The Bridgeborn's awakening called me." She looked at Emma with a lot of intensity. It felt like she could see through to Emma's soul. Morgana said the prophecy was misunderstood, on purpose. She said this because some people are afraid of change. Then she turned to Silas. She looked at him with disgust. "You only read the parts that made you worried," Morgana told Silas. "The Bridgeborn's awakening is what called me," Morgana said again. Morgana lifted one of her hands and the air started to look funny. Some words showed up. They were made out of golden fire letters just like the ones Adrian had found and shown to Emma when they were looking through the old archive. But these words kept going, they did not stop where the council's version had ended. The words, from Morgana, just kept going on and on like they had more to say than what the council's version of the text had. Morgana read out loud, from the book. "The Bridgeborn people will break free from being afraid. They will do this by working, not by causing trouble. The Bridgeborn will give the Lords of Night an option. They can change and get better, or they can disappear into stories that people tell. The Lords of Night who choose to be smart will change in a way. The Bridgeborn will help them to do this. The Lords of Night who choose to be afraid will get weaker and weaker until they are shadows. The Bridgeborn will forget about them after a time." Silas said the word lies. He was really angry. The council has people who are very smart and they have been looking at these old texts for a very long time, for centuries even. Morgana said this to them in a tone. "The council scholars were only allowed to read what you wanted them to read," she told them. "The full prophecy was kept hidden because it said that your rule would come to an end, not that the immortals would disappear." Morgana looked at Emma with a lot of surprise. "The girl does not destroy the immortals," Morgana said. "The girl gives the immortals a chance to become something than what they are now, to go beyond the limits of their current life, as immortals." Emma felt the truth of it deeply. It was like something of her was waking up. The power that came from her hands was changing. It was getting warmer. It felt more welcoming. The roses that were holding the guard started to bloom. They had flowers that gave off a really sweet smell. Emma felt that the guards were not so scared anymore. They were becoming more curious about Emma and the roses and the power that was coming from her hands. The roses and the power and Emma were all. It was like something special was happening. Emma said that she does not want to hurt anyone. She looked around the hall at the people who are mortal and the people who are immortal. She wants to know what she is. That is all that Emma wants to figure out about herself. "Emma," Catherine said to her daughter, "you are hope." She moved to stand beside her daughter. "You are proof that the things that seem to separate our worlds are not really there," Catherine said. "These barriers are just made up by people who are afraid, and that is all. They are just illusions made by fear of our worlds and the people in them, and the barriers between the worlds of people like us and others are really just made of fear, and that is what makes them seem real, but they are not. They are just illusions, and you are proof of that. You are proof that the worlds are connected and that the barriers between our worlds are just illusions maintained by fear of what we do not No, and you are hope. Adrian joined them. That made things really interesting. You had Emma's mom who was human, her dad who was not going to die. Then Emma herself who was kind of in the middle of these two very different worlds. The moment they all touched hands with Emma's hands holding her mom's and her dad's, something big happened. A lot of power came out of them. It was like a big wave that made the whole house shake. The roses were everywhere, covering all the surfaces. It made the big hall feel like a garden that was stuck between night and day. When Emma's light shone on the council guards, she saw that they were not as sure of themselves as they seemed. She could see how tired they really were. The council guards were tired of following rules that only helped Silas have power over everyone. The roses and Emma's light made the council guards feel like they could not keep going on like this. That is what was happening to them because of Silas' power. The guards got down on their knees one by one. They were not doing this because they were giving up. Because they were finally admitting the truth they had been told not to talk about. The truth was something the guards had been forbidden to speak of. No, Silas said in a tone, getting ready to use all his strength to protect himself. I will not let this happen. A child who is not one of us cannot just come and change everything that has been in place for 1,000 years of Silas people having order. Silas will not allow a half-breed child to undo all of that. Silas thinks it is not right for a half-breed child to have that kind of power over Silas and his people. He got away from the roses because he really wanted to. The shadows came out of his hands like water. These shadows turned into blades that he threw at Emma. He threw them at her. It was very scary. The darkness was like a part of him. It was doing what he wanted it to do, which was to hurt Emma with those blades. Adrian tried to get in the way. Catherine was too quick. She jumped in front of her daughter. Stood there with her arms open wide. The locket around her neck started shining with a light that was like the light that came from Emma. When the dark blades hit this light, they just did not hurt anyone. The shadow blades were no match for the light from the locket that Catherine was wearing. They went away without doing any damage to Emma or Catherine. Catherine said, "You cannot hurt her anymore. You have taken enough from the people I care about, from us, from our family." Silas' face got all scrunched up with anger and desperation. He dug into his robes. Pulled out a little bottle of stuff that glowed a weird green color. "This is poison that comes from dying stars," Silas said. Silas looked really mad. If Silas cannot be in charge of this kingdom, then nobody will get to be in charge, Silas said. He lifted the vial up to his mouth. Before he could take a drink, Emma said something. "Stop." The word had a lot of meaning to it. It was not a simple word, it was a word that held a lot of power. This power was connected to her family. Where she came from. The word was like a command that made people listen. Silas stopped moving, his hand was stuck in place, he could not bring the bottle any closer to his mouth. The word carried weight and it was affecting Silas in a way. The word was connected to her heritage and it was a powerful thing. Emma walked towards him slowly, her bare feet making no sound on the floor that was covered in roses. She looked at this old creature. This creature had spent a long time making people afraid of him. Instead of feeling hate for this ancient creature, Emma felt sorry for him. She felt pity for this creature. The woman said this in a voice. "You are afraid of not being needed," she said. "You are afraid that if immortals and mortals work together, there will be no room for people like you who are in charge and use fear to control others." She put out her hand. Carefully took the small bottle from his hand that was not moving. The prophecy does not say that you will be destroyed. The prophecy says that immortals and mortals will change, and this change is what the prophecy promises, a transformation of immortals and mortals. She let the bottle drop. It hit the marble floor. The bad stuff inside started to hiss. Then it just disappeared into the air, turning into a harmless fog. She watched as the poison turned into mist. The marble was all that was left with the remains of the vial on it. Emma said, I give you the choice I give to everyone. You can get better or you can stay the same and get worse. Let go of being scared. Think about what we can make together or hold on to what is already gone and watch everything fall apart around you. Silas looked at her for a long time, with eyes that had seen a lot of things happen. Empires had fallen and Silas had seen it all. Then something changed in his face. He did not look so sure of himself anymore. The confidence he had was not so strong. You could see that Silas was actually vulnerable. Silas was not as tough as he seemed. This was clear when you looked at him. He said, I am so tired, in a quiet voice, and for the first time he really sounded like he was very old. The weight of time was showing on him. He had been holding on to this responsibility for such a long time that he could not remember why he took it on in the first place. The burden of responsibility had been his, for centuries. It was wearing him down. He was tired of maintaining control. It was taking a toll on him. The man said, I have held this burden long, I forgot why I picked it up, and that was the truth. Emma put her hand on his heart. A warm light came out of her hand and went into his chest. The power of the man was, inside him it was dark and really big. It had been made that way because he was scared and it had been a long time. So Emma touched the power of the man gently like you would try to get a scared dog to come to you, and she showed the power of the man a way to be. Silas gasped as his own magic changed. The darkness went away. Something brighter came out. It was not the light that Emma's power had but a gentle glow. This glow was like the light of the moon on calm water. Silas saw that his magic was now aglow, a lot, like the moon shining on still water. The man looked at his hands. Said, What have you done? He was staring at the light that was coming from his hands. This light was soft. It was moving a little. The man was looking at his hands where the gentle light was now shining. Listen, I am giving you a choice, Emma said. What you will do with this choice is up to you. You can do anything you want with this choice. The choice is yours. You have to decide what to do with the choice. Silas looked at her for a long time, then he slowly got down on his knees. He did it in a way. I give up, Silas. It sounded like the words were being pulled out of him. The council gives up to the Bridgeborn, Silas said, saying it again that the council yields to the Bridgeborn. A big sigh went through the hall as the tension was finally gone. It was like when you snap a string and it loosens up. The other people on the council, who were no longer under Silas' control, got down on their knees too. Some of them looked happy that it was over. Others looked confused. Did not know what to do. But they all knew what Emma meant, things were going to be different. The council members knew that Emma represented change that was going to happen, know what this change was inevitable. Morgana stepped forward. She had a big smile on her face. It was an old face, with lots of lines. So this is how the prophecy happens, Morgana said. It does not happen because of fighting. Because of what people decide. The new age of Morgana is starting now. Emma turned to see her parents looking at her. They had a mix of pride and surprise on their faces. Adrian's eyes, which were a brown color, looked like they were about to cry. He probably had not cried in a long time. Catherine's face was shining with a light, the same light that was coming from Emma's hands. Emma's parents were really happy for her. Emma could see that. Adrian and Catherine were feeling a lot of joy. It was showing on their faces. Emma felt happy to see her parents so happy. The light from Emma's palms was special. It was making Catherine's face glow. Emma asked, what happens now? She felt young all of a sudden, even though she had a lot of power inside of her. Now Adrian. He pulled Catherine and Emma into a big hug. It felt really good, like they were all finally home after being for a very long time. Adrian said, we are going to build something now. A new place, a kingdom, where people who are mortal and people who are immortal are treated the same. Catherine and Emma and Adrian want a place where mortal and immortal stand as equals. Where people are not scared all the time and things that used to separate people are now bringing them together. Adrian wants walls between worlds to become bridges, so mortal and immortal can be friends. Catherine said, together. She had her arms really tight around both of them. Emma said that she was in agreement. Together, she said. Outside Blackthorn Manor, the sun was coming up. This was a deal. The sunlight was streaming through the windows now. It was shining on things that had been dark for a long time. The vampires were kneeling. When the sunlight hit them, it did not hurt them like it was supposed to. It just made their skin feel warm. The warmth was gentle. The sunlight was being kind to the vampires at Blackthorn Manor. The vampires at Blackthorn Manor were feeling the sunlight on their skin. The people looked at their hands. They felt really surprised. They were feeling the sunlight for the time in their immortal lives and it did not hurt them. They did not feel scared either. The sunlight was something for the immortal people. The prophecy had said that the Bridgeborn would give people a choice. They could become something new or they would be forgotten. The Bridgeborn chose to be smart of being afraid. When they did this, they got something special. This thing was more important than being powerful. The Bridgeborn got the freedom to live in the daylight. They could walk in both the world and their own world. They could do this without any problems. For a long time there were things that kept the Bridgeborn from doing this. The Bridgeborn were finally free from these things. Emma stood between her parents in the growing light. The air was filled with roses that were blooming in colors that Emma had never seen before. These colors were really beautiful and special. Emma felt that her future was unfolding. It was like the petals of a flower slowly opening up to the sun. The roses and the light and the feeling of her parents near her made Emma feel like her future was going to be really wonderful. Emma felt happy and excited about what was going to happen to her. The roses just kept blooming. The light just kept growing and Emma felt her future unfolding, like the petals of a flower. This girl came to the manor to sell night roses. She was very poor. Had a tough life. Everything was against her from the day she was born. Now she was leaving the manor as the Bridgeborn. She was the daughter of two worlds. She was going to change everything and start an age. The night roses were the beginning for the Bridgeborn. She was going away. The good thing is that she was leaving as Emma Bennett Thornfield. She was. She felt complete now. She was not alone anymore, which is a good thing for Emma Bennett Thornfield. In the hall where her mother's picture had been for a very long time, a new picture would be hung next to it. This new picture would be of Catherine, Adrian, and Emma together. They would be remembered not for being sad, for being happy. They were a family that was together again. They had made something good happen. This good thing happened not because something bad was destroyed. Because they chose to love instead of being afraid. Catherine, Adrian, and Emma chose love. That is what made them happy. The time of darkness is over. Now we are in the time of bridges. And in the distance, bells began to toll, calling both mortal and immortal to witness the dawn of something neither world had dared to imagine, a future they would build together.